Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, it's your birthday. So what you gonna do? Have a party, eat some cake, hang out with some friends, get brutally murdered, wake up and do it all over again? And again, and again, Jessica Roth stars in Happy Death Day. Man, that killer certainly wants to give her that knife for her birthday.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! Unchained from the content Nazis! Yes, episode number 5. We are cruising along in this wonderful ride of chaos and carnage. And tonight, coming off of last night's classic 80s, yes, it's an 80s film. I looked it up. I had to look up that date. The paranormal activity of the entity. Man. And tonight I thought, you know what, let's go and review something a little bit more contemporary, I guess, more close to this time. A movie that came out last year, I believe. And it is Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day. Yes. So, oh, excuse me. So, what is Happy Death Day about? Well, Happy Death Day is about a college student, a real bitch, honestly, she is, who wakes up after drinking way too much at a party in some strange guy's dorm room and goes about her day, part of a snooty sorority, ends up getting murdered that night, and then wakes up again that same day in that same dorm room, freaking out like, what's going on? What? Was this all just some weird dream? And of course going through her day and getting killed again, and then waking up. And basically, yes, it is Higurashi no Naku Koroni in movie form, or I guess some people say it's more like Groundhog Day. They even talk about it in the movie. But anyways, yes, this is a movie about a woman who keeps getting killed and coming back to life until she tries to figure out a way to break the cycle. But unlike some of the other movies, every time she gets killed, it wears on her body. Yes, there's a scene where they take like an x-ray and there's like, oh, the scar tissue, you should be dead. Yes, everything that she goes through starts screwing up her body, so she doesn't have unlimited lives, unlike Groundhog Day or Higurashi. But so it's really important that she figures out who the killer is, stop the killer from killing her, so that she can see tomorrow. Yes, and now, of course, this is her birthday. That's why, Happy Death Day, Happy Birthday. It's a play on words, right? Yeah. So, let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and gore. Look, it's a 2 out of 5. There's a lot of murdering going on. There's a bit of violence, but there is not really that much blood and gore because it's a PG-13 movie. I know, it's crazy. And it's sad, too, because you know what? Sometimes, like I've always said, the ice cream analogy, I like to have some sprinkles and some whipped cream and maybe a cherry on top, and that would be the violence and the gore. And I would really like to see an R-rated version of this movie because I think they could do like some spectacular death scenes. Unfortunately, not. So 2 out of 5. Shock value, also a 2 out of 5. Look, there are a bunch of jump scares pretty much in the beginning while we're kind of confused as what's going on. And they're actually quite well done, but as the movie goes on, it gets less and less, and in the end, it's like, okay, you get a little rush at the beginning, but toward the end, you're more involved in the story, and the jump scares kind of become a little bit few and far between. So 2 out of 5. Plot, I am going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I wanted to give it a higher score. However, there are some problems. Yes, it's not original. I mean, it's kind of original in a horror sense. It hasn't been done too many times, and most of those times are things that people don't really know about. I think like there was like the many deaths of John something or whatever, part of like the Masters of Horror or something like that. Of course, Higurashi, but not everybody knows about Higurashi. I'm sure there's been some short stories and some other things about that, but this is kind of like the real big major type of deal out in the mainstream. And really, I think it was about time someone did this sort of thing. I remember several years back thinking about like, you know, a horror movie in that kind of, you know, you die and you come back and you're trying to figure out who killed you. Anyways, but there's a lot of kind of weird things going on in the plot. For instance, the timing. There are times when she wakes up in the dorm room and leaves immediately, which would have thrown the timing off from the original day. But every time she makes that like walk out of the same things happen at the same amount of time, which makes no sense because there's been times where she lingered longer in the dorm room, which would have threw everything off there. There was times that she was leaving much quicker, which would have thrown off all the timing. It's really weird, but it's a little nitpicky thing. There is this moment where she walks out naked, I guess kind of like having fun with the whole like living again thing. You know, it doesn't matter because she's gonna die, but it's placed weirdly because it seems to go against the character and the situations going on. Like that's just like giving up at this point, and it's really odd and just seems like just put there to be kind of like a tease because let's face it, she's naked, but you don't see anything. I mean, so I don't know. It's like that scene just seems like completely irrelevant to the movie. I mean, literally, I am someone who doesn't complain about not, you know, important to the plot nudity. But this scene is completely not important to the plot or the character development. And yeah, if they would have shown a bunch of stuff, maybe I would be more apt to let that slide. But in the end, it just sticks out and feels weird. And so, you know, there are some other things too about there's like this, you know, sort of typical red herring roulette. That some of the things just didn't make sense. Like, oh, this person, you know, and this person. So, yeah, the plot would have started out really high, but there are some pieces to it that kind of just don't make sense, don't flow well, don't even belong in the movie. And, yeah, so 3.5 out of 5. Still pretty dang good. Anyways, acting, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Probably would have been a 5 out of 5, but my God, the head of the sorority is just such a bitch, and she plays it so... I mean, I guess she's supposed to do that, but I found it so just grating and like not even a little nuanced and a bit ham over the top. So I'm gonna knock it some points there. Plus, like the one guy was just really like flat and uninspired. I would have to say. I don't want to say who it is because it's sort of part of the spoiler. But there's a guy who plays a role that's kind of a typical role, but it's just so just generic and blah. So, anyways, 4 out of 5. Still good. Nudity, 0 out of 5. Look, it's PG-13. I understand it. An R-rated version probably still wouldn't even show. I mean, maybe it's show her ass. I don't know, but you know, this day and age, you just gotta come to expect horror movies not to throw out, you know, some exploitative nudity out there anymore. It's sad. I wish we could go back to the good old days. It's selfish of me, I know. It makes no difference in the movie except like if they blatantly tease it. In that case, it just grates me. But 0 out of 5. I know, whatever. But enjoyment factor is a 4 out of 5. I found this movie to be greatly entertaining, very satisfying, very interesting, intriguing. Sure, there's a really, really just sunshine and bubblegum thing kind of toward the end that kind of almost nauseated me and was just like, oh God, really? Oh, this is just garbage all of a sudden. But with that being said, very enjoyable. Proof that you can make a good PG-13 horror movie. Yes, there have been good PG-13 horror movies before this. It's just a shame. And I know, yes, you gotta get certain audiences and blah, blah, and this stuff. But I would really have loved to have like a full-blown R-rated movie. I mean, is it possible that you guys can, let's have our cake and eat it too? You make your PG-13, or you make the movie a hard R. Do the cuts for the PG-13 release. I mean, look, they're doing that for Deadpool, for God's sake. They're making a PG-13 Deadpool 2 and releasing it in theaters. So could you not make, like, just please, make the movie you want to make. If it happens to be R, do the cuts to make it PG-13, release that in theaters, and release the R-rated version in theaters. Can't you just release both and let people decide? And you know what? That would be actually a great market experiment to see which one actually makes the most money. And I bet you it would be the gory, tip-filled, exploitative R-rated version, filled with foul language and nastiness, and not the PG-13 blandness that some horror movies, unfortunately, fall into. Wish upon. Did I say something? I didn't say it. Anyways, but yeah, my overall impressions: 4 out of 5. A solid movie, very entertaining. I suggest you watch it. Actually, it's some people said it was like more of a horror comedy. No, it's definitely a horror film. There are funny moments in it, but the core of this movie is definitely a horror film, and it is that first and foremost. But what's really cool is you do get some great character development in the main character. She starts out as a total bitch and kind of learns life lessons by dying and living life over and over again, and realizes, she's had some problems, but the kind of person she became is not the kind of person she wants to be. So, there's that wonderful arc that's going on there. So, 4 out of 5 overall impression. Very solid movie. Happy Death Day. That averages to a 2.8 out of 5. See, if you would have added that whipped cream and cherry of graphic violence and nudity, it would have had a better overall average score. But anyway, it's just me. It's just me. Like I said, it's fine that it doesn't have that stuff. I just am a greedy motherfucker, and I want it all. I want it all. Is that too much to ask for, is to have it all? Of course it is. But anyway, so there you go. There you have it. Happy Death Day, episode 5 in the books. And tell me what you think. Did you see Happy Death Day? Leave a comment in the comment section. I know nobody leaves comments in the comment section. Nobody's actually watching any of these videos. It's almost like I've returned to the first year of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, where I was just talking about random shit to this skull. And, yeah, but whatever. Anyways, I don't care. I'm just, I do it for the love. I do it for the love. It doesn't matter if nobody cares, if nobody even, I'm no longer part of any community. I am a tree upon itself. I am an island. I am just me, whatever. But, in case you're watching, I will see you tomorrow with another episode. And you guys stay scary, internet. I love y'all. Adios.